Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate you allowing me to wave onto the committee today and join you all in this important discussion. As technology becomes increasingly integrated into every aspect of our lives, our economy, our society, it's more important than ever to ensure that all Americans, especially those in the rural areas, have access to high-speed and internet connection. Coming from Eastern Washington, living in Eastern Washington, now representing Eastern Washington in Congress, in too many of the areas that I drive when getting around the district and visiting various communities, coverage has remained static. I was reminded of it earlier this year. I was in a couple of communities just south of Spokane. Spokane is the second largest city in Washington State, and I was just 15, 20 miles south of Spokane in Rockford and Fairfield, and they had nothing. So there's a growing and growing drumbeat that, this needs to be a priority, and I join in that because whether it is economic development, whether it's healthcare, telehealth, so much of the future of healthcare is around telehealth, education. Our kids are doing more and more homework online and personalized education, or healthcare. It is our future. So in August, I hosted a couple of roundtable discussions in Eastern Washington, one in Colville, which is more north of Spokane, 70 miles north, and then one in Pomeroy that is even further south. And it was good. It was good to bring the community together, the elected officials, the ISPs, others, business owners, healthcare providers that are involved in trying to solve this issue in Eastern Washington. One of the main barriers that seems to be common right now is ensuring that we have the accurate maps, and that this is so important as we have this discussion about how are we going to ensure that every area is covered. Earlier this year, I joined with Mr. O'Halloran in introducing the Broadband Data Improvement Act, and it's one of several bipartisan bills that we're considering here today. And this bill tackles the inaccurate mapping on several fronts. One, by increasing the granularity of provider-reported data using shapefiles. Two, by utilizing a three-pronged validation process, including the use of third-party data and an on-the-ground accuracy verification. And third, ensuring a robust challenge process. Those are the three main areas. It also provides assistance to smaller providers to minimize the burden of the reporting requirements. And I just want to thank all of the witnesses today for being here today and for your work to improve broadband access for all Americans. I'm encouraged by the variety and the priority that this committee is making to move forward in a bipartisan way so that we can ensure that the limited federal funds that we do have, but that we have been prioritizing for this effort, reach the areas where the need is the most. I wanted to ask if you could talk just a little bit more about the importance of having a robust validation and challenge process to ensure the accuracy of our broadband maps, in addition to increasing granularity. And specifically, what role should third-party data play in this process? And Ms. Bloomfield, I wanted to ask you that. And open it up.
So first of all, thank you so much for your leadership. It has been very key, and as you listed the key points in your legislation, they're all things that we absolutely endorse and support and think are important. So when you talk about validation, there's a lot of different ways to do it. One of the things we've all talked about as a panel has been how do you incorporate things like crowdsourcing? How do you actually gather that information from people served on the ground? I think that's a really interesting and intriguing idea. I would just say, though, that again, what you don't want to do is create a process that becomes really a burden where somebody has to chase down every complaint and respond. And, how do we actually capture trends so that we don't get bogged down in that process and we can continue to move forward to make sure that the maps are accurate and people can continue to spend more of their time and energy actually building the broadband than reporting back through that process. So I think it's important, but I think it has to be done very thoughtfully. But again, I think that along with a challenge process, so at the back end you can actually really do that verification, is going to be very significant.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I would add, so I think a challenge process is vital. The FCC did a one-time data collection, and if we hadn't had a challenge process there, those maps that show all of Eastern Washington as covered would have been locked into place and used by the FCC. On the wireless side, we used shape files to build that last map, but without a challenge process to go out and test it, we would have been stuck in a real mess. So the good news is that, all of the legislation in front of us puts us in the right direction to fix it once and for all.
Okay,
Thank
our
you all.
time has expired. I thank the gentlelady.